The Integrity Ignite Series clash kicked off with a thriller at the Kentucky Speedway, but the full power nature of this championship race leaves no better suitor for our second race of the first round here in 2023 than the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. This is the Primate Pest Control 200 and 100 laps of action come to you live from California, one of the biggest super speedways in all the United States. Bring the action back to your screens on this lovely Monday night. October's wrapping up and the final few races are just ahead of us, and the Ignite Series keeps things going after a fantastic opener to our championship hunt, with Alec Daffin coming home with a surprising win to put himself back in the title picture. All the same, 7 minutes and 20 seconds remain on the timing sheets, with a Matthew Thunhorst, your provisional pole sitter, by 6/1000ths of a second. Then you'll see Timothy Johnson and Nick Tarbuck second and third, Anthony DeBarro, Cody Smith, Thomas Brescian sixth, with Ackley, Micus, Fife and Stroll rounding out your top 10. 20 drivers have taken the time to this point of the over 25 that have registered. Car counts remain high as it's one of the most popular tracks in virtual stock car racing, and we're expecting to see full-on racing from flag to flag all night long. Now, it's going to be daytime skies here in Auto Club, so going to be a lot of a warm track to deal with. 94 degrees the track temperature as opposed to the 83 Fahrenheit air temperature tonight, so a big disparity. It's going to be a warm track, and as you can see on Gael Brooks' side of the panel there, you can also see on the hood, loose is fast, and these drivers are going to be pushing hard enough where they're going to get loose once or twice throughout each and every lap, so keep that in mind. With Alec Daffin now getting on the way, he's your defending race winner, getting it done for the first time in his Ignite Series career, and it was a very thrilling run to the finish. But for Daffin, he was dominant all night long. No surprise he came home with a checkered flag as a result of his astonishing efforts to put himself back in the picture. Now in no jeopardy of being eliminated immediately, but he'll have to keep the fire going throughout the remainder of the championship hunt for any shot at the title, which it looks like now he might be a contender to keep an eye out for as he gets on the track for the first time tonight. 24 drivers have taken a time now out of 28 in the session. Daffin, Logan, and Cody Griffin, the drivers are waiting on to this point, as Daffin's going to get going for his one and only hot lap. Number 48 machine getting accustomed to this number 48's appearance and its performance in the Xfinity machines, because in just a week's time or a week and a half's time, Alec Daffin's going to take this number 48 Shaw Racing paint scheme, put it back on a truck, and fight for the championship in the Saturday Night Truck Series. But here tonight, he's going to not find any success in qualifying, bangs the wall, slams the inside retainer, and no qualifying run for Alec Daffin. 2 attempts, doesn't get a lap in. Now Boomer Logan's going to be on the way with a bit more success through turns 1 and 2. Now races down the back straightaway and has no damage to this point, as he'll come through 3 and 4 cleanly and with no issues to this point indeed. Logan's been having some very good runs as of recent, a top 10 caliber driver he's proved himself to be, and now finds himself contending once again, hoping to start at the front of the field. At the line for Boomer Logan at 41.224, jumps from the final spot in qualifying up to 21st. Now this lap is set to be the big one, so if Logan can make up any time, he'll have to do so here and now as he dives to the bottom side through 1 and 2. Doesn't look to be making up all too much as it stands. Right on board right now with Boomer Logan as he keeps things going in qualifying. Looks like no time to do so. Logan's going to be done and done. Drops it down to the inside of the track and will not take another time. 21st, the best effort Boomer Logan's got, with a minor scrape coming off the back straightaway, ending his qualifying run. So Logan's going to have himself out the cockpit now, waiting only on Alan Rawell and Cody Griffin out of the drivers on the track right now. Only Boomer Logan's the man on pit road, and Rawell, Cody Griffin will decide who starts where here in qualifying. Every other spot has been decided, so as a result, got a little bit of time to see whether or not anyone comes on the circuit. If they don't, we'll move on to qualifying results momentarily here in Fontana. it looks like as it stands, no other driver opting to go onto the track. So while we have a bit of time here, we'll take our drone camera back out for a spin and see what's going on here in the virtual Auto Club Speedway. Not only as we start here in the grandstands, but as we move back down to the racing circuit, this 2-mile track well known not only for the fact that in recent times, especially right now, the track is being redeveloped into a short track, but in addition, it's 25 years of one of NASCAR's premier superspeedway style tracks. In a sense, it's not a full throttle track like Daytona or Talladega, but 2 miles from end to end with speeds over 185 miles an hour a minimum, expecting speeds of over 200 miles an hour with the proper package on them. High horsepower and high speeds combined to make Auto Club one of the fastest and most enjoyable tracks in all of racing. As we take a look around this circuit, you'll see why that is the case. Auto Club Speedway, first known as the California Speedway, was first put into use in 1997 under its original name, and for the majority of its history, it's been this 2-mile track, now being demolished and reconfigured into a short track, and the only thing it'll keep is the name, as Auto Club Speedway is set to change drastically in future developments. Used in multiple movies such as Herbie Fully Loaded and Ford vs. Ferrari, the track's also well known for its appearances in media, and not a lot of racing fans happy with interpretation in Ford vs. Ferrari, the latter movie mentioned. However, in stock car racing, it's given us many thriller finishes. You don't have to go to the theater to see excitement here in Auto Club. Home to Jimmy Johnson's first career victory, photo finishes at over 200 miles an hour. One notable incident, Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano in 2013, giving way to that Kyle Busch win, and you'll see how much racing room there is as we take it down the back straightaway here with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. You can go not only 3 wide, but 4 wide, and even 5 wide, maybe make it 6 as you go down to the apron. However, unlike many high-speed tracks, there's not a lot of banking to deal with down low, so don't expect to use that apron all too much unless you really want to send it deep, which is a bit of a challenge. The grooves are well defined here in Auto Club as a result of the pavement's age. No plans to ever repave this specific circuit, of course being demolished now, and that gives way to a very old track surface, the age on it allowing for distinct racing grooves. It's a challenge, but a fun one to say the least, and all of that age has led to a unique style of racing, bringing fantastic action each and every time we go to this circuit. It's a shame we won't go to this configuration any longer in the real world, but in the virtual realm, it will remain. Taking a look down at pit road here, now wide as many other portions of this track are, and you'll see a lot of room to make it in. Expecting some green flag pit stops as we saw with Kentucky as well. A lot of racing room. Don't expect too many major pileups as we take a by the scoring pylon this time by. That is your virtual track walk here from the Auto Club Speedway as we have put our drone camera to rest this time by. Boomer Logan not on the track, and neither is any other driver waiting on. Cal Falarski registered for the session with 26 seconds remaining. In addition, Alan Rowell and Cody Griffin not putting themselves on the track at all. Alec Daffin not able to get a fast lap in, and with that being said, qualifying has concluded, and with now less than 10 seconds on the board, number 8 Machina Matthew Thunnors looking to keep the strong runs coming, finds himself the pole sitter at the end of our qualifying session here in Fontana. And qualifying has concluded. Number 8 machine of Matthew Thunnors is going to be the fastest man. And just like that, your pulse time has been set. 29 drivers registered to keep the high car counts coming all season long. It's been the big trend of having major attendance, and that's been no struggle all throughout the year as drivers once again get back on the track. Matthew Thunnors in particular going to be making his way out here and now. And we're going to find ourselves back at Fontana with drivers going out for your second practice session of the day. Qualifying, however, has been concluded, and after a 10-minute qualifying session, we know who's going to be starting where. So without further ado, let's find out our starting grid for tonight's event, the second race of the 2023 B Clash. This is the Primate Pest Control 200, and it will be Matthew Thunnors once again at the top of the board in the number 8 machine. 40.891 for the man in that number 8 pole position with a championship spoiler right beside him. Going to be Timothy Johnston in second with a 40.897, and that 28 machine is going to be the runner-up man in qualifying with Alan Dobbs concluding the podium with a 40.967. Nick Tarbuck's then going to be the fourth place driver with a 40.977, and after a successful for him most recently at Nashville SuperSpeedway, looking to get back at it here in the bigger tracks and show him what he's made of, as Chad Cole concludes the top 5 with a 40.986 inside of row number 3. Then from there, Anthony DeBarro is going to be outside of row number 3 with a 41.002, multi-time winner this season, but DeBarro's got to step up the pace to become a true championship contender once again. Cody Smith going to be 7th with a 41.004, and Thomas Bressy's already mathematically locked into the round of 8. He finds himself safely above the cut. 8th place he'll start tonight with a 41.019. Rob Ackley's going to tie the number 24 machine in terms of his lap time, and it's going to be a 41.019 to be inside of row number 5. 9th place for Ackley, and the top 10 concluded by Chad Mikus in the number 25, and it's going to be Mikus starting there with a 41.029, not too far behind. 11th place then going to be held by Gael Brooks with a 41.036. Jacob Fife, 1,000th of a second back, starts in 12th, and Michael Stroll's number 38 will put himself into the 13th position during his qualifying run. 14th is going to be Kyle Cooper with Tyler Hensley, position number 15, and Brian McFerrin makes up the final spot in the Sweet 16 with Justin Morton, position number 17, Blake Gordon 18th, Sean Carmody 19th, and Don Stevenson concluding the top 20. 21st place is going to be Boomer Logan with a 41.224. Brandon Bernhardt is 22nd with an 81 machine there, just behind Logan. Jonathan Gearvon 23rd with Andrew Schaub 24th, and Casey Shue taking the final qualifying time. It'll be Alec Daffin 26th, and Cody Griffin 27th with Alan Arawa 28th, and Cal Fularski the 29th, and final driver on the starting grid for the Primate Pest Control 200. And as drivers get back in the roll, this time by second practice still going, looking at Matthew Thunhorse, who currently finds himself 6th on the timing charts here in this warm-up session. 5 final minutes to get things going here from Fontana. At the oval circuits, more drivers opt to take laps here because it's a simpler opportunity to understand the car. It's harder to master, of course, but you've got to fine-tune it for any chance to win here in the Ignite Series, especially now with championship contention in full play. You got to be as good as you possibly can be, and if not that, be great more often than not. Room for error going to be especially minimal in the second round, in the round of 8, but you got a chance to sort of wiggle through if you had a points buffer coming in, if you had the opportunity to get some good runs just before Clash began. But right now, it's all about setting yourself up for the next round and going from there. If you make that round of 8, you got a very fair shot at winning the championship. No Final Four system here in the Ignite Series. It's the round of 8, and mathematically you go from there. So it's going to be a multi-round finale, and as long as you make it through that first race all right, you'll have a chance. And even for Thomas Bressi, who's second right now warm-up and came second in the championship standings last season, he had a disastrous Pocono race, much as the remainder of the Clash field did. DJ Stagner came home advantageous, and even though DJ Stagner had that major buffer going in, he only won the championship by 2 points over Bressi, so it's not by any means an open and shut case. Even if you get out of that issue or have no problems, he can still be a driver who just claws you back with tenacity that makes it all the way to the championship finale and then some. So watch out for Thomas Bressi this season. He's your 2023 Next Level Racing Championship reward points leader. So at the end of the season, no matter what, if he stays in that top spot, he'll be the man who comes home with the top prize of a sim rig worth $2,000. Alan Dobbs, though, is going to be the fastest man here in your second practice session. Warm-up's quickest driver with a 40.993, the best lap put down. So far, so good for Dobbs, and hoping to keep it that way as we head from our final warm-up run to the starting grid in Auto Club. And the night has been slightly extended. It's going to be 110 laps of action as opposed to the initial set 100. So a minor extension to get us back into the swing of things. It's going to be a longer race here, as you know, championship implications. So every night matters that much more. Longer races mean there's going to be a little more time to maybe have some wiggle room, make some mistakes, and recover. Also allows for more strategic races as the night goes on. It won't be done and done in the first 50 or so. Now, 200 miles is by no means a short distance per se, but it's a fast track, so don't think it's going to be a quick race, or don't think it's going to be a long race simply based on mileage. A lot of things go into how long a race is. A 200-mile race at Martinsville will be longer than a 200-mile race at Auto Club if they have the same amount of cautions, and it goes that way the more you look at it. It's a high-speed track, so longer race lengths don't seem illogical. So hopefully 220 miles will do us well here, as 10 extra laps have been put on as the starting grid is on your screen. Johnston, Nick Tarbuck right behind him. You got Chad Cole, Alan Dobbs there too, and as the iRacing official pace car gets on the way, time to roll for the first time tonight here in Fontana. Matthew Thunder's going to be on the way, not to mention Timothy Johnston, Alan Dobbs, and Nick Tarbuck. You got yourself a championship spoiler outside line, as Nick Tarbuck and Johnston alike are not any longer involved in the championship race. The Clash, they're not in it, but doesn't mean they can't fight for a win. Johnston's closest effort came at Darlington. Nick Tarbuck won it at Nashville. So just because you're not inherently part of the championship battle doesn't mean you can't go for a race win or two. It's all drivers. And the checkered flag, that's what they're aiming no matter what. Hoping to see some big strategy calls tonight. There will not be a limit on the fuel cell, so you got 100% to work with all throughout the event. And Kyle Brooks saying, hopefully, for his sake, it's going to be truthful. If it's not, it's definitely a joke. It's a bit of a 50-50. Already saying one stopping, but we'll see whether or not we'll get that at all, as we're expecting some long racing tonight. Maybe we'll see a long green flag run, see some yellow flags along the way. Matthew Thunder's knows he's going to have to chase this checkered flag to keep the championship fight alive. Matthew Thunor sees the iRacing official pace car drop down a pit road. That time by and through the Geico restart zone, they'll go to get this thing started. Green flag will wave from Fontana. Welcome to the Primate Pest Control 200. Thunder's remains your race leader, and just like that, second lap in, it's clean and green to this point. Multiple grooves already being used up. You'll see now Alan Dobbs in particular going to lay down low. Johnston remains up high, brings Anthony DeBarro right there with him, and Nick Tarbuck slowly but surely slides back from a qualifying run that put him inside the top four. Now Tarbuck is going to be 7th and fading back just a bit more as it stands. Chad Cole also getting in the mix after a strong qualifying run for the 17 camp, so watch out for Chad Cole as this time by they'll come through yet again. Matthew Thunder's now advantageous. Timothy Johnston now in 2nd, DeBarro in 3rd, and that's the way they run. So far, so good, as we've only just begun here in Auto Club. Nick Tarbuck now going to find some pressure, as you'll see Rob Ackley and Cody Smith racing each other. Ackley's going to go down to the bottom side. That number 22 machine wants to take the spot away and already does so with Jacob Fife coming up all the same. Got a lot of Octane Series competitors who have already raced at Auto Club so far in the year. Jacob Fife, Cody Smith in particular. It was Caitlin Height who got that victory, and Auto Club was a very early entry on the Octane Series schedule in 2023, but a thriller nonetheless. Came down to the final few laps, and Caitlin Height just barely able to weasel her way through and get the race victory at the end of a thrilling 100-lap event in its own right. Now, tonight's going to be slightly longer given the championship implications, but Matthew Thunors knows long hauls or the short run doesn't really matter. He wants the win, and it means now he's going to have to fight against Anthony DeBarro, and if it hasn't been Thomas Bresci, it's been these two drivers really commanding the championship run, carrying the banner for their own respective organizations. Now you'll see Thunder remains up top, DeBarro goes down low, and already Anthony DeBarro makes the move and finds himself a race leader all over again. Nice and smooth early running for Anthony DeBarro. He will take the race lead, bring Thunder back to the second spot, and Timothy Johnston coincides as he'll put himself still in third, and just like that, it's going to be dead even once again at the line. Weather's a change in here in Auto Club. You'll see the sun no longer directly shining on the track. Track temperatures drop down to 90 degrees Fahrenheit as a result, and sun coverage is going to mean a lot here in terms of how warm the track's going to get, how slick the tires are going to become. Tire wear at the speeds they're going, it's going to be a prominent factor. Johnston gets up to about 190 miles an hour before backing into turns 3 and 4. The accurate telemetry here in iRacing allows for a very solid understanding about how quick these drivers are going every lap and how hard they're pushing the equipment all the same. Now, Johnston has the draft ahead of him to really carry his way through, but as he comes down the front straightaway this time by getting up to a speed of 193 miles an hour, and that's a new high for Johnston, but he is going to have to send it very high up top. Dobbs gets through, and just like that, Allen's going to be third, taking a spot away as Timothy Johnston commits to the speed. Doesn't quite work out through the corners here, and they're single file up in front. DeBarro's got the lead. Matthew Thunder's not too far back, and Dobbs is still on the podium here with championship spoilers. Johnston and Tarbuck now being 4th and 7th respectively. Chad Mikas is going to be position number 8, and that number 25 machine slots all right ahead of Jacob Fife. Michael Stroll coming through as well. All of your Clash contenders are making a very good run of it so far. Don Stevenson and Alec Daffin in particular struggling, but Daffin had a particularly hard time in qualifying, couldn't get a lap down, so he's got a ways to go to get back up there to begin with. Stevenson, it's fading back, and it's a very bad thing to see for that number 47 crew, as Don Stevenson trying to keep his hopes alive, and he was solid, of course, at Kentucky, just didn't have the strategy to win, and now he cannot afford to have a dismal performance, especially after not coming through with a clutch win last week in Kentucky. So right now, it's going to be all about the back of the field fighting amongst themselves, as it's now Anthony DeBarro taking the lead by 1/10 of a second. Matthew Thunhorst not fading back and not bowing out, but certainly hasn't got that momentum or the speed to really make a jab or make something of it at the race lead. He's going to let it be for now, going to sail into turns 1 and 2, drop down a little bit lower. DeBarro remains high, tries to cut some distance here, bring Alan Dobbs with, and they're going to be nearly side by side as he tries to use that momentum. Matthew Thunhorst getting closer and closer, that time by nearly sticking it there, just can't get it done for certain, and the Ford Mustang number 8 machine is still within arm's reach. Dobbs is also going to be in the picture. Timothy Johnston is still not too far behind the podium, and as they come through this time by, going to be lap number 9 out of 110 here on FTN. And for all of you watching here on FTN, the official graphic design partner of FTN Live, Tango Paints presents to you lap 9 and all the action here on FTN. For the highest quality iRacing paint schemes and liveries at a price you cannot beat, check out Tango Paints on Twitter for more information. Trusted graphic design work since 2021. Tango Paints on Twitter, spelled exactly as you see on the top right of your screen, bringing you all the action night on FTN. We'd love to have you aboard as part of the Tango Paints family, as we'll bring you a brief promotional break courtesy of our friends Tol Owen and the entire Tango Paints team on Twitter. And coming back now, 10 laps in out of 110. We've already gotten through the opening sector. So far, so good. Lead battle has been intense. A lot of mid-packing troubles that have been alleviated and avoided. And now some fierce racing developing as guys begin to spread apart based on pace and on strategy. Some drivers going to be able to take it a bit easier here in the pack, riding throughout. Some guys not so much, knowing they have to be aggressive for their point situation, or knowing that if they want to win it, they'll have to stay up in front all night long. So drivers adopting different different mindsets, getting into the rhythm here, but right now, no major battle as opposed to that of Anthony DeBarro and Matthew Thornworth. Now, DeBarro is slowly but surely pulling away, however, it's still not a major gap, so push comes to shove. The driver of the number 8 machine, Matthew Thornworth, he's right there and trying to make it a run down the back straightaway for a position. You can't go for anything more than that, as Alan Dobbs is slowly but surely fading away as well. Up and down the alley this time by, he'll take a big swoop up to the top of the track and single file almost throughout the field right now. Not a lot of double file movement as drivers adopt this high side through the straightaways, a low side through the corners not even being implemented. Look at how many drivers are now going to take it up top and keep it there all throughout the track. Wide angle shot shows you how different some of these guys choose to get through the corners, but everyone sweeps up top down the straightaways and gets back into one uniform order. Even the front packers, the mid packers, and all those in the back running more or less the same as you go through all the way up top on the straightaways and making your differences in the corners where it counts the most. Back of the field is a little less bunched up, a little less clustered, but either way, a lot of similar philosophies in driving in the first dozen laps, as it looks like right now the leader of them all has his way. Anthony DeBarro here to stay, 13 laps in of 110. And right now, guys, and all the drivers in the field throughout the pack, no matter where you are, already adopting the philosophy of logging laps, understanding how important this race will be. It's not the longest of races we've seen all season long. We did have ourselves a 250 laps mile, shall we say, not 250 laps, but 250 mile opener to the year to kick off 2023. We have had several 200 plus mile races since that point, and as a matter of fact, our Darlington race was a full-length Xfinity Series event in terms of its scale. However, tonight, 200 miles in the middle of the clash is not necessarily unforeseen, but we've seen several 150 mile events before. The longest in Ignite Series history came to finish off last season, the 300 miler at Charlotte. However, there's really no comparison between a 300-mile race at Charlotte and a 200-mile race here in Fontana. Both are tricky, both take their own strengths, and both have their own faults. But right now, for drivers, they know they're not focusing on the past. Anthony DeBarro, who won that race at Charlotte, wants to win again. And tonight, a perfect time to break out and break himself back in to the championship picture that he's been a part of, but just hasn't been all too loud about it. A bit of a quiet run in the past few weeks, hoping to put himself back in there slowly but surely. And DeBarro not going to go out with the whimper, far from done just yet. As they come through this time by, it's going to be DeBarro in first, Matthew Thornworth second, Alan Dobbs third, Timothy Johnston fourth, and then Thomas Bresci, position number 5. That's the way they run so far so good, with Chad Cole also coming up. And right now for Bresci, look off the back bumper of that number 24 machine. Chad Cole putting down a lot of pressure so far tonight, and he's looked good all throughout. The first 15 laps qualifying up there in the top 5, currently finds himself one spot off in 6th, so no slouch so far in the early going, and definitely making sure his performance to kick off the night in qualifying is no fluke. Fantastic job for Chad Cole right now. Let's ride on board with that number 17 and see what's going on board. You'll see now Chad Cole going to be slightly correcting the wheel, back and forth, precision and speed, and it's going to be, of course, balancing the both of them here. These drivers are going to be twitching back and forth with that steering wheel, and here in iRacing, thanks to the use of full-scale wheels, drivers have that force feedback that emulates or simulates the physics and the feeling of driving over the pavement here. Now, the Auto Club, it's a very worn-out surface, so you're going to feel it almost every lap, no matter what, and Chad Cole having to react to what he's feeling and make decisions in real time as a result. The major cause and effect of racing, if you feel that track coming under you, you got to adapt to it immediately here. It's a game of inches, a game of tenths of seconds, and even less than that. And Jacob Fife right now trying to bring a pack with him. He's got Chad Mikus right behind, not to mention Nick Tarbuck, Rob Ackley, Michael Stroll, and Blake Gordon all coming through as well. And these drivers know that they want to take spots as much as the next driver. Now, only 2 drivers inside of your top 6 are championship spoilers in Timothy Johnston and Chad Cole. Top 10 only has a third in Nick Tarbuck. So that being said, all your drivers up at the head of the field are most often going to be championships contenders still eligible inside the clash. And for the viewers coming in live on FTN, orange drivers are indicated by orange on their timing screen information. Look at the bottom right of your screen right now. Anthony DeBardo is indicated in orange, and as such, he's still eligible for the championship. However, Timothy Johnston in the 4th position, while he is fighting for the win, he's not eligible for the championship this season and will be riding in red until the checkered flag falls in Homestead to wrap up the 2023 campaign. So right now for Johnston, he's rolling up at the head of the field looking for his first win of the year, let alone the season, while Dobbs, Thunhorst, and DeBarro lead the way in that podium, as consistent as ever. So far, so good. Chad Cole going to take it down to the bottom side. He's going to swoop just slightly high, side by side now. Teammates in Chad Mikus and Rob Ackley. And Ackley, who's been oh so good at these big tracks all throughout the year, proving once again he's got the pace up in front. Rob Ackley burst onto the Clash scene last season, winning the inaugural Clash race. And it took him in as one of the championship's favorites for the round of 8, only to get wrecked on the very first lap at Pocono, which ended his championship chances in the blink of an eye. Now, Ackley knows it's not been as strong a season as it was then at Daytona, where he won first and able to come home with 2 wins that season, but at the same time, you can't give up just because you've had your setbacks, and Rob Ackley knows that, has a great team around him, and he's had some strong performances, namely at Watkins Glen, where if there were maybe 5 more laps, he would have won the thing, but just didn't play out that way, and still chasing his first win of 2023B. One of the very few drivers with an opportunity to win in 2 consecutive Ignite Series seasons, and that would still be history in the making, of course, because there's only been 2 Ignite Series seasons. The very first to kick off 2023, and now to wrap out the year, it's the second, and 2023B's been a thriller all the same. But right now, Domination Intimidation Racing runs mostly together. Chad Mikus is going to be up top. He's in a very good string as of recent, which keeps him in the fight for the championship. Michael Stroll, as always, a fierce competitor, no matter when, no matter where. And you might remember last season his big return race at the Michigan International Speedway, a very similar track. He was dominant, won from Alec Daffman, and it was that number 38 machine that came back with a vengeance to show he's still got what it takes to compete at the best level. Here the Integrity Racing leads, so no doubt that Michael Stroll would like to keep things going here as he rushes down the back straightaway. He's got his teammates right around him, a great group to be with here for Domination Intimidation Racing, and all championship competitors hoping to go until that final round and the final race in Homestead, Miami. But right now, though, it's going to be DeBarro slowly but surely gaining time. He's going to be there in first by about a quarter of a second. Then from there, it's going to be Matthew Thunhorst and Alan Dobbs still then in third. Podium still going to be the same as it's been for the past 15 odd laps, and nice and smooth, consistent running up ahead, and looking already at what could be our first green flag pit cycle in the coming laps. Now, this track is a gas guzzler no matter where you are. The draft is an important aspect of big tracks such as, of course, Auto Club or Michigan, but at the same time, it's utilized somewhat differently as opposed to a track like Daytona or Talladega. Just because drivers have themselves the opportunity to run quick in the wake of another machine doesn't mean they're really getting all that full-scale assistance. Not often do you see tracks like Daytona or Talladega, the aforementioned circuits, where you really do get that assistance. Here in Auto Club, you're really working it almost all the time because these are unrestricted motors. The restrictor plate or anything, such as the tapered spacer, simply a less powerful engine, those are not seen here in Fontana, and these drivers have the ability to go at full power whenever they please. However, it comes at the cost of using more performance up with that fuel, and that's going to be something you got to compensate for as the night progresses. Timothy Johnston going to be there in the 4th spot, now looking down at the bottom side of Alan Dobbs, and it might just be Alan Dobbs losing another spot here and now. Number 5 machine, what's the 0-5 this time by, makes the move, gets himself in third even still, but Johnston is still there, and Thomas Bressi comes up as well. Thomas Bressi, no stranger to the top 5 or the podium or the race victory or a few victories in a row. He's looking for another one once again. Swept Talladega Talladega this year. The road course ace winning at Watkins Glen as well. Multi-time winner looking for yet another. And the Exalta Chevrolet having some troubles as of recent in terms of his hardware, saying his Fanatec wheel has given him a bit of trouble in the past few weeks, having to reset it multiple times over during races, not just in between races, but during them. So Thomas Bresci tonight going to be playing on the safer side, trying to keep his equipment in check, not only inside the sim, but outside of it. So he's got to make sure that the cockpit is all working out from the digital realm to the physical, as Bresci now goes up to the high side on Timothy Johnston, and now looking for another spot, this time through Nick Tarbuck there as well, and that number 29 machine now trying to take a spot away from Bresci all the same. Chad Cole, Rob Ackley, Chad Amicus all coming at the same time. Dobbs is going to drop down low and wiggle profusely down to the bottom and get right back up there to block Nick Tarbuck. It's a risky move, and he's got no back bumper. All of a sudden, Alan Dobbs has nothing on the rear end, and it looks like he's already being pushed back like a parachute. All of a sudden, it didn't look like a major hit he took off the back end. It looks like coming out of turn 2, he was able to tap that wall just a bit, and it's inexplicable, but Alan Dobbs has some major damage already. We'll take an instant replay back and find out just what that was, as it looks like it's not going to be the damage model coming in handy for Alan Dobbs. And you saw going through 1 and 2, he had that back bumper. He's already dropped back to 7th, mind you. He taps the rear end. He actually taps the entire car. But you know what gets lost in all of it? It's that rear end. And you can see it's a shocking reveal. But as he comes across our panning camera, Nick Tarbuck's going to pop off the back bumper. And inexplicably, he's going to lose it just like that. Alan Dobbs might just see his night destroyed after minor contact, and now he's going to find himself falling back, losing speed, and like a parachute, he will be dropping through, as Dobbs is now high side with Rob Ackley going down to the bottom groove, and the leaders continue to race away as the shenanigans occur right behind him. It's DeBarro, Matthew Thunors continuing to make do up in the front of the field. A major advantage as the caution flies for the first time tonight. The reason being, it looks like it's going to be Chad Micus, and Micus is around. Yellow flag flies for the first time today. 27 laps in out of 110. Chad Micus, yellow flag number 1. Let's find out just what happened here, as after a long green flag run to kick things off, we got trouble here in California. And now looking at Chad Micus, as you saw drivers rushing by the injured Alan Dobbs, 05. Fife tries to avoid it, takes Cody Smith down low, not to mention brings a Micus there, and you can see Chad just keeps on spinning. Luckily, nobody hits him, but that's going to be a nail-biter, as Micus at that point is no longer in control, and the caution to fly as a result. Chad Micus gets, honestly, luckier than it could have been, but still going to lose all that track position, and fades back big. Contact from Fife, and Cody Smith sends him down and in, and trying to wrestle the car to make sure when it does inevitably come up, nobody hits him. And nice job at locking down those brakes. That's an essential piece of the puzzle. And Chad Micus does everything necessary to avoid major trouble. Yellow flag flies, but Micus locks it down. In addition, Cody Smith, Jacob Fife, and in a way, Alan Dobbs all involved, as 28 laps into 110, looking at what most likely will be your first pit cycle of the day. Let's see where Alan Dobbs is going to come through, and where drivers like DeBarro and the like come through, as pit road gets busy for the first time tonight. It's now an active pit cycle here in Fontana, as drivers come through to get service for the first time here in the Primate Pest Control 200. Now as drivers roll through for the first time tonight, Anthony DeBarro leads them all in. Pit road going to get busy. The pit road exit camera going to be on your frame. And you'll see now Chad Mike is going to make it by, as he's set to put himself back on the lead lap after troubles. And we'll take a look now at your pit road exit camera. As drivers come through, you'll see Matthew Thunors, Timothy Johnston, and the remainder of your leading group. As they come on this time by, it's going to be the number 8 machine with a big advantage in terms of his pit stall. And we're going to see if it's going to be effective enough. Blake Gordon's on the way. DeBarro's on the way too at the line. It's going to be DeBarro beating Thunors and Timothy Johnston, with Rob Ackley, Thomas Bresci, Nick Tarbuck, Chad Cole, Jacob Fife, and Blake Gordon rounding out the top 10. 11th is going to be Michael Stroll off pit road. Alec Daffin 12th. 13th Don Stevenson. Tyler Hensley is 14th. And then Justin Morton rounds out the top 15 after your pit cycle. Chad Micus is effectively your race leader, and looking at actually get himself some lead lap points here. Looks like that's the end goal, as Micus Advantageous has himself the race lead after 29 laps here out of 110. Troubles just 2 laps ago. Now your race leader, but of course that's on cycling. It's now Chad Micus, the big advantage, with DeBarro second, Timothy Johnston third, Matthew Thunderous then fourth, and Thomas Bresci position number 5. And it's going to be Rob Ackley not too far behind as well. All their championship contenders cycling back up. Cody Smith in particular opts to come down to pit road and get some more damage repaired, staying on pit road for about 58 seconds in total, and it's going to be about 15 odd seconds slower than the average pit stop. Gets back on it, and just like that, on the way, with Alan Dobbs having substantial troubles. He's on pit road right now, and we'll see getting back on the move here as he'll be on the lead lap just barely as DeBarro comes through this time by. And now, lined up once again, 1 lap to green. iRacing official pace car has Anthony DeBarro and Timothy Johnston right behind, and DeBarro getting that advantage off pit road is a huge deal in maintaining the race lead. Now, he had Matthew Thunderous right behind him for the majority of that run, but now it's a chance to run away without even having to worry about battling. Having those clean tires with a clean air, it's a clear set of rubber, and you don't have to worry about wearing out your stuff that much more because you've got the advantage in terms of track position. And with such a competitive field week in, week out, every position really makes the difference. If you can start up in front, you'll be able to finish most often up in front as you set yourself up to use your resources that much less. Don't have to worry about shredding the tire. Don't have to worry about pushing the engine as much if you're really using the tires wisely. And by that regard, you'll also have less to worry about, less to stress about on pit road, and it'll keep you out of trouble to be up in front as well. Less cautions most often coming from your leaders as they come to the green this time by for what will be your first restart of the day. DeBarro, Johnston, Matthew Thunderous going to make it by and get back on the roll here. An initial run of 27 green flag laps, and that's a wrap before we move on to what will be our second run of the day. Green flag flies this time by with DeBarro in the lead, and Timothy Johnston not too far behind to get back rolling from Auto Club. And a fantastic jump there for Anthony DeBarro, your race leader. And as we mentioned, that's exactly what you want to do with that track position. Confidence coming through from that early run translates into a great jump off the line. And just like that, DeBarro's got the advantage with Matthew Thunderous, Timothy Johnston right there too. Thomas Bresci not too far behind. First, second, third, and fourth as they stand. 31 laps out of 100. And Bresci now going to be the bookend of the podium as they come through this time by. It's now going to be the 24 machine getting away from Fife and Chad Cole going side by side. Number 17 machine going to take it 3 abreast, and Alec Daffin making moves. As we mentioned, struggling in qualifying, but wants to show that big race pace. The more he succeeds here at Auto Club, the better. He's got a championship race coming up at Fontana next Saturday night. It's going to be a thriller to watch the Saturday Night Truck Series conclude their campaign exclusively on FTN. 5 great seasons of action, but Daffin is yet to find himself a champion there. But as of recent, he's been clicking off race after race, win after win. And look at that, Daffin now inside the top 5 here in the Integrity Racing League as he puts himself there inside, just ahead of Jacob Fife. Number 36 machine's going to push him all the way to the end of the front straightaway. Braking markers as big as they can get here, because if you're going that quick, sometimes you get lost in the motion. That's more of a physical thing than you see in the sim. You got to have that reminder to back yourself down and get through the corner, because these corners will really determine and make or break the way you've been racing. Anyone can go straight quickly on a racing circuit. It doesn't matter what it is, no matter what discipline, but it really takes that different set of skill to separate yourself going through the corners. This time by 33 laps in of 100. Alec Daffin having no issue here as the sun continues to shine in Fontana. Back on display. Front stretch is loaded. DeBarro's getting through, and you'll see now that number 27 machine with a slight advantage over Matthew Thunderous. Now now that number 27 machine single file, but only a few drivers breaking away. Daffin's been able to move nicely up into the 4th place for his own cause, as Timothy Johnston is going to drop back into 5th. Alec Daffin is going to be able to make it by another driver and maybe bring Chad Cole right there with him. Chad Cole's making gains and has been putting on another successful run for this number 17 team. They had speed earlier in the season. Notably, you saw them at races like Monza, where a lot of drivers who didn't quite have it in terms of raw pace made it happen on strategy. And that sort of strategic racing, it means a big deal, of course, for the number 17. It wasn't a podium finish. Gael Brooks, the driver we're thinking of in that regard, but Cole had pace as well. And if it's all down to strategy, Chad Cole is one of those guys who gets it done and makes up positions when it matters the most. So coming in clutch with strategy can really make or break the way you race night after night. If you're good with making something happen on pit road, or good with avoiding incidents and just waiting for things to fall your way, it can help you out a ton here, as right now it seems like raw pace has kept DeBarro up there with Matthew Thunders coming by. Not to mention, you're going to see Thomas Bressi and Alec Daffin position number 4. Coming through this time by 36 laps into 110. It's going to be the leader, still single file, but some closer battles further back. Taking a look now at Kyle Cooper and Cody Smith. You'll see that number 18 machine drop down to the bottom side, and you can see now that it's going to be Kyle Cooper up top. Michael Stroll racing right there with him. The sun is beaming down, and you'll see now that the reflections coming back on the circuit, and slowly but surely this race might see less sun than now. Even it might become no sun. How it of course will go depends on whether or not we get many cautions, find ourselves an overtime finish. But every hour here in iRacing, the Integrity Racing League sets their session to have 2 hours of weather change. So with that in mind, these drivers are understanding the changes in the weather. The warmth is going down. It's dropped down to 87 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of the track temperature. Sun is slowly but surely fading out of view as well, and it might just become nighttime skies by the end of 110 laps, if not immediately after the checkered flag falls. So you can see now, while it might be bright, it's a bit of a false hope per se, as these drivers will understand shortly it will be a bit of a darker scenario here in California. Michael Stroll can get back up to the rear end of Kyle Cooper. And while he hasn't done much of it so far, he's there and knows if push comes to shove, he'll have an opportunity to take that position away. Coming through this time by number 9 machine Justin Morton right there in 14th. 1 win on the season. He's still championship eligible, but just has to make something happen here in this first round to move on to the round of 8. Race victory for him, getting it done at Monza in a Hail Mary strategy. Fantastic drive for him not to come down a pit road once at all, and he had that strategy played out in his head from the very first turn. He was the man who started inside the podium in qualifying, but fell down immediately and found himself in trouble from the very first turn. And he saw that as an opportunity to lie back and take the first 20-odd laps as a challenge of saving his equipment, knowing that if he came down a pit road, he'd had no chance to win the race. Now, as a result of playing the major tire saver, he's up here in the championship battle even still. And while he's going to be 14th right now, he's got a ways to go, catching up to guys like Stevenson, Ackley, Blake Gordon, and your entire top 6 right now, because they're all championship contenders, led still by DeBarro, and Thomas Bressy's going to be there in 3rd. It's still Matthew Thunders, the runner-up man, sandwiched in between. Alec Daffin and Jacob Fife also conclude that top 5. It's a star-studded lineup up ahead, and it's kept that way for the first 39, going on 40 laps of action. And at the stripe, once again, you'll see Thomas Bressi there inside the podium. No mechanical troubles for him outside of the cockpit so far tonight. So nice to see he's been able to keep things going despite the issues he's faced within the past week. 4 drivers beginning to break away. Alec Daffin, the last of which there's 7/10 of a second back on the leader, but has about a 3/10 of a second advantage on Jacob Fife here. Now we'll see whether or not Fife's got enough to maybe bring it back, but that time by, he's the highest up driver in position to run a 42-second lap. Now the next man you got to go back to from Jacob Fife would be Casey Shue, which goes to show right now that Casey Shue's in 12th, Jacob Fife is in 5th. Fife might not have that top 10 pace inherently, but at the line catches up a bit more and is actually quicker than Alec Daffin. So it's an up and down order in terms of lap times this time through. Fastest driver was not DeBarro, nor was it Matthew Thunders, but instead up in front Thomas Bressi was the quickest man with a 41.9 41.954. Best lap in the racing session night has come down to Alec Daffin's 41.066. So the drivers right now are about 1 second off of their fastest laps within 12 laps of a tire run. That goes to show how huge the difference is between new tires and old. And it looks like Jonathan Giron, having some connection troubles, is going to be forced to disconnect from the session. Might be an early retirement. 4 laps down as it stands. And now Jonathan Giron, 29th and last, as we go through yet again at the line. Cal Filarski's the final man on the lead lap. He is 28.11 seconds behind your leader. Still on the lead lap though, so not all hope is lost, but certainly not the best way to start the night for any driver. Although Cal Filarski right now not fighting for the championship, certainly would love to see a bit more as the race progresses. 42 laps in, single file for the most part. Alec Daffin's going to be right there behind the top 3. Rob Ackley though is not going to be going side by side until he finds an opportunity here with Timothy Johnston. Now tries to take it down the bottom side. Johnston's going to lie on the high side. Ackley drops down low, and it's going to be neck and neck once again. At 42 laps in, they keep on rolling here. The Primate Pest Control 200 giving us 43 great laps to this point, and speeds over 190 miles an hour before entering turns 1 and 2. Dedication each and every time by from these drivers to really push it to the limit no matter where they are. Right now, while a lot of guys are really pushing it on speed, it looks like your leaders especially have given up in terms of making aggressive movements. They understand the implications and they just want to make it to the end of the night in one piece. So nice to see a lot of respectful action up in front, understanding the weight of the scenario. Back of the pack might not be as much here. Michael Stroll up on the high side. Cody Smith right there down low. They're neck and neck and still going right back at it. Alan Dobbs going to be the mix, and despite the fact that Alan Dobbs does not have the car he began this race with, looks like as he comes by our camera, he's got a back bumper back. So looks like all is back in control for Dobbs, and he's in control once again of his own destiny. Will not be a true parachute all night long, and as a matter of fact, ironically, he's right behind Nick Tarbuck, the man who knocked that back bumper right off his Chevy Camaro. So as they come down the stretch this time by, a lot of close competition up in front. Cody Smith right there, he's going to be in it. 44 laps in of 110, and it's been a great early run for all these drivers, making stuff happen lap after lap. Let's ride on board with Kyle Cooper right now, who finds himself the 19th place driver on the board. Looking right now for the number 73 Burger King machine. Middle of the field is not all too intense right now. Some drivers able to bunch up occasionally, but nothing all too major. Those side-by-side battles are brief and don't occur all too often. So these guys have been really racing with respect here as Chad Mikas takes it way down low. That's going to bring Mikas back in a 19th, and he's got a slightly younger set of tire here, and he's going to try to use that one lap advantage to help him out as the race goes on. 19th place for Chad Mikas, fighting right now with Kyle Cooper Ford. Now that number 25 machine, a 16-lap old set, has the best on the track. Not by much, but one lap can mean an awful lot in terms of track position in the long term if this race were to go green. Now, you don't think that's a lot. I mean, it's only one lap. That's what, 2 miles out of 220? How can that be a big deal? It doesn't come down to the distance itself. It comes down to how hard the drivers are racing through it. Now, track temperature slightly goes back up to 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and part of the reason is how much these guys are putting down lap after lap. As these guys have burned up their tire and the sun is still somewhat shining, they're going at higher speeds, and as a result, the tires begin to wear out and they get much warmer, and the track is going to absorb that heat, which makes the track a little more slicker, and so on and so forth. And even though the sun is slowly but surely fading away and that effect won't be as prominent, you are going to see it for a bit longer here as the night goes on, because these drivers are still pushing hard as Alec Daffin that time by takes it right through Thomas Bressy's 24 machine, and Bressy's going to try to fight back on the bottom side. Chevy Camaro on Chevy Camaro. The Bowtie Brigade is third and fourth and chasing down the Blue Oval and the Toyota up ahead. Daffin's got it high. Bressy's got it way down low. They'll be side by side at the stripe all over again. Thomas Bressy tries to bring that advantage back in his favor, but Daffin's got too much momentum to make it happen. Nice move there for Alec to take that spot right back. It'll be Daffin, 48 laps in the third position here in the number 48. Nice job there for the Shaw Racing machine, getting right back in front of well, Thomas Bressi, he's no hard driver to really get by in terms of, well, lunging it in, but in terms of strategy, that's when it gets challenging. Anyone can drive by anyone by just brute forcing their way in, but for Thomas Bressi, those long, methodical battles, very few are as good as this number 24. So it's going to be a challenge for anyone to make it by. Nicely done for Daffin, and once again, he's looking hot, even though his qualifying run showed he might not be tonight. And it looks like he's up there despite the fact that it was a dismal qualifying performance. Keep an eye out here for Alec Daffin as he continues to run up at the head of the field, winning last week, now up there on the podium, and the championship run is still more than alive. Brian McFerrin going to be side by side now with Alan Dobbs, and you'll see neck and neck there with McFerrin down to the bottom side, getting that lunge, and the number 7 gets the edge once again with Dobbs slightly fading back. McFerrin makes that slight move, gets himself right up into the 18th place, now chasing down Tyler Hensley and then Michael Stroll from there, as Stroll sees a very close battle just ahead of him. Justin Morton, who is still a championship contender, racing now with some playoff spoilers in Cody Griffin, Casey Shue, and Nick Tarbuck. All these drivers who are not inside of the Clash this season are racing right now. One of the contenders who's already gotten a win on the campaign, but Justin Morton, one of the best in the business at a road course, but with how give or take it is on winning here in the Ignite Series, you got to be the best of the best at the ovals to really stand a chance, no matter where you race, no matter what it is in terms of what type of oval. It seems like everyone's got a real good opportunity to race up front with you. You might not expect them, you might not see them all too often, but they're still there, and they're still kicking each and every week, no matter what. So Justin Morton, despite the fact now he's in the 11th position, making it up from outside the top 15, he's still not necessarily close to making something happen for a top 10. He might be one spot away, but he's also 1 second away. That's a pretty big gap given our circumstances here. Stevenson on the tail end of Chad Cole with Timothy Johnston right there. This pack is moving away, and more so each and every time around. That time by, Matthew Thunor stays in the back bumper of Anthony DeBarro. These two drivers have been neck and neck on pace all night long, and still no major change for either of them. The DeBarro sliders machine has kept it up there, sliding out of pit road just before Matthew Thunor, and that might be the big difference. Pit road for DeBarro, he was only on there for 0.3 of a second less time, and that 0.3 margin is the biggest deal of the race so far. There's a 44.8 versus a 45.2 on pit lane, but the pit box for Anthony DeBarro was a 14.8 stop as opposed to a 14.5. So the difference came not on pit road, but instead of being slick in and out of pit road, where DeBarro excelled and got himself back out in front. That's where Matthew Thunders had a shot to really take it through. If they had the same entry and exit speeds, Matthew Thunders would have won the race off pit road, and as a matter of fact, he would have been able to lead this race most likely. That leading position determined most often by whoever gets out of pit road first. And now, as we come through this time by 52 laps in, it's going to be the top 2 drivers breaking away big time. Alec Daffman then in 3rd, and Thomas Bressi in 4th. Rob Ackley rounds out the top 5, and it's going to be Jacob Fife in 6th. Then Blake Gordon 7th. Timothy Johnston going to be fighting side by side for it now, as you'll see DeBarro washes up high and Sunhorse making some close moves. Look now, Blake Gordon fight with Timothy Johnston and Jacob Fife. Fife is back in the mix, and that number 36 machine not done just yet. Trying to make something happen here for Pro Powder and Paint. The number 36 is in the mix, and now sees Blake Gordon dropping down to the middle. Timothy Johnston going to be position number 8 as it stands, but he could get not 1 but 2 positions at the same time. That's how close he is, and the competition is fierce as ever as they come across the stripe all over again. Nearly halfway into this one. So far, so good with a Fife machine inside the top 10. Now just outside the top 5 and still fighting for all he's got. Matthew Thunnell seeing some more pressure this time through, and you'll see now that DeBarro's starting to lay it down each and every corner. Hasn't quite gotten side by side any other point but now, and they'll be neck and neck this time by. DeBarro's going to be down low. Matthew Thunnell's right up top, and DeBarro's got himself the advantage as clear as day. New race leader in Anthony DeBarro, and now he'll see Matthew Thunners go up top as they come through this time by. iRacing giving us grief, and it looks like we're still live. And on our end, fellas, the stream just went black. Not quite sure what happened. Are you still with us? I'm not sure at all. It looks like we just went blacked out, just got it back. And with all that being said, we're still live on our end, and we're going to keep things going. Great to have y'all watching live on FTN, but we're having some troubles here with our system as iRacing is still going strong. Not quite sure if iRacing is. If you got us, well, it looks like you do. Our stream preview has kind of crashed here, so we can't really tell what in specific you're seeing. Great to have you all the same, and we'll keep on going. 55 laps in out of 110. That's odd. We don't quite know what just happened, but we're still going all the same. 55 laps in. Anthony DeBarro is your race leader, and if you hear us just right, let us know. We'll be checking in our technology systems and find out what's going right and what's going wrong in particular, so we keep the broadcast going live on FTN. And just monitoring our systems here, we look to be good to go, so let us know in the chat room if anything is going wrong, because on our end, we can't quite tell what we're putting out in terms of product. Everything looks fine. We're watching the broadcast with our systems as well. 56 laps in of 110, and now it's going to be only a total of 55 laps to go. DeBarro is going to be out in front. Matthew Thunderston second. Alec Daffin, position number 3. Bressy's 4th. Rob Ackley rounds out the top 5, and Blake Gordon's going to be position number 6, with Ben Jacob Fife in 7th. Halfway down and halfway to go here in the Primate Pest Control 200, and we are rock and roll even still as we'll bring you now to your first iRacing promotional break of the day. iRacing promotional breaks, of course, we bring it to you to entice our viewers about the most exciting deal in all of sim racing. iRacing providing discounts of over 40% off for the remainder of the 2023 calendar year. To join the iRacing platform, we'd love to have you there, so we'll be right back after our first brief iRacing promotional break of this event.
To scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Coming back now with 51 laps remaining. iRacing Motorsport simulations are one place to go. For online sim racing, there's no infrastructure better. Online racing on the hour, every hour, for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a dedicated community, hardcore drivers, and a road to pro in any discipline of racing you can think of. Stock cars, open wheel, dirt, what have you. You can join the fun at iRacing.com today, and it looks like iRacing even crashed and came right back for us. Welcome back on FTN. We took a brief break for a few seconds to get things going once again. Looks like we'll be good to go for the remainder of the broadcast. If you're tuning in for the first time tonight, great to have you all aboard. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing a fantastic event here in Fontana. Long green flag runs, what we love to see, and 61 laps in out of 110. We're back on the way with no worries of the remainder of this broadcast. Sean Carmody going to manually disconnect. He's your first retiree of the night. Jonathan Gierbon is back on the track 8 laps down, finds himself 28th as it stands, and all the same, the majority of the field has been able to keep things going under green. Alec Daffin, that time by, moves slowly but surely closer to the leaders. He's about 1 second away in the 3rd spot as your top 2 guys continue to race each other. DeBarro and Thunderous remain advantageous. Thomas Bressi going to be 4th, Rob Ackley going to be 5th, and Blake Gordon then in 6th, with Don Stevenson position number 7. Jacob Fife going to be 8th, and Justin Morton then 9th, with Nick Tarbuck in 10th. And you'll see there in addition, Timothy Johnston, Cody Smith, Chad Cole all around each other, beating and banging just a little bit with some minor contact. Slide down low for that number 18 machine. Cody Smith real close to making some moves, but doesn't make much of it. They're going to nearly beat and bang. All the same, they'll keep rolling, and at the stripe, they're hoping to keep it straight. Once again, only one caution on this event so far, and that's been in the first 62 laps of action. At 110, a very clean race so far, and we've seen clean races to kick off the clash. Of course, Kentucky, we only had one green flag caution, or rather, one that interrupted the green flags. Then we went for double overtime to finish off the night. Now, those overtime finishes, definitely a bit more annoying than having a natural run to the green, but at the same time, given how long we went under the green flag, it made sense that these drivers were getting a bit more anxious, trying to make something happen, and they got antsy. And that's what happens sometimes in racing. Drivers were trying to push for final spots, knowing it was all they had, and it ended up giving way to not one but two extra attempts at the finish, which went in the way of Alec Daffin, who currently runs now in third. 42.991 that time by for Anthony DeBarro. It was a 43.002 for Matthew Thunhorst, and in third place, Daffin was quicker once again with a 42.947, getting the weight off his shoulders and getting that first career Integrity Ignite Series victory. It's a big deal for no matter who you are, even if you're a very successful driver in the Integrity Racing League's history. They're coming in for the first time this season. If you're one of the drivers who came through in the big proposal to merge these leagues, this series has been non-stop competition between 30 plus of the best drivers each and every week, race in, race out. So winning is a huge deal for a driver, and now that Daffin's got that confidence to know he truly can be a race-winning driver, because he is a race-winning driver, gives him the opportunity to chase that victory with confidence, and right now that's exactly what he's doing, trying to make way to get back up there to your two race-leading drivers who have been oh so successful all night long. Look further back right now to Jacob Fife, Cody Smith, also in the mix as well. And to tell you this much, we got some time here in the broadcast, so let's look at your overall point standings coming into tonight. Now, as we mentioned, in your 16-driver format for this opening round, 8 drivers move on, and they will move on for the round 8, the finale. Now, Thomas Bressi is effectively locked in, 33 points up. Then from there, Matthew Thunhorst and Don Stevenson are tied for second on the moving up chart, and Alec Daffin is in fourth, 14 up as well. Now, Daffin stays where he is. He should be effectively safe. Same goes for Matthew Thunhorst and maybe Don Stevenson. The way things are going, Stevenson's turned this right around again for a 6th place run. There's also Gael Brooks, Alan Dobbs, Kyle Cooper, and they are all safe as it stands. But then 6 points back on the cut line, you'll see Michael Stroll and Blake Gordon only 8 points back as well. Now, Cody Smith, Chad Mikas, Jacob Fife, and Justin Morton are a bit more jeopardy, outside by over 10 points. And for Anthony DeBarro, he's really got to run it back, and you can see right now he's leading this race, so he's far back, but that could change. So long as he comes home with a checkered flag, he can put himself back up there in the bubble battle to finish off the season and maybe have a shot at the championship. And Travis McQuistion, 40 points down, not here tonight, is effectively eliminated from championship contention no matter what happens for the remainder of the season. So with that being said, 15 drivers are still in the fight for the title, 14 drivers are in the fight for positions, and after tonight it might be less than 10 fighting for the final 4 spots. Very few spots are going to be on the table when push comes to shove tonight. And I'll tell you this much, with DeBarro and Matthew Thunhorst so good up ahead, with DeBarro, Thunhorst, Daffin, and Bressi, arguably the best 4 drivers in the past few races, all up ahead with the most points collected. Guys like Ackley, Stevenson, Gordon, and Morton, who are just behind, they absolutely need to make tonight happen for their own sake. Knowing how good the juggernauts have been, they're not going to bow out and they're not going to get out the way. They're fighting for their own causes, absolutely. But in that being said, 44 laps to go. The Primate Pest Control 200 still has a ways to go to really conclude and find out who's got what it takes at the end of the night. Now, you'll see the 24 machine of Rob Ackley, and the 22 is going to be Ackley this time by. He's got Bressi right ahead of him. 43 laps to go, and they're still fighting each other neck and neck. It's a very small group up ahead right now, and you can see they've been on a very long green flag run of 39 laps. So estimates are showing we should be in the range for our final pit stops in the next few minutes, and the reason is we've gone 39 laps as it stands. We can go, well, about 39 laps to go in about 5 laps time. All the estimates are saying no reason not to have those pit stops coming very, very soon. And for guys like Ackley and Thomas Bressi alike, not to mention Stevenson, Morton, Gordon, all those who are still in the championship fight who might need to make some changes, there's a chance to make that undercut happen or a chance to go long, because 69 laps in, it's been a very nice battle between these top 2 drivers, but really nobody else having a chance to go there and fight for the race win. Your top 10 goes as follows: Anthony DeBarro, your race leader; Matthew Thunhorst second; Alec Daffin third; Thomas Bressi fourth; and Rob Ackley then going to be position number 5, with Don Stevenson 6th, Blake Gordon 7th, Justin Morton 8th, and Nick Tarbuck in 9th, as Cody Smith rounds out the top 10 in the Next Level Racing number 18. And from Next Level Racing, the official primary partner of the Integrity Racing League, For high-quality sim racing performance products used by dedicated sim racers, look no further than Next Level Racing. Since 2009, they've had you covered for all your sim racing needs. Hardware, it's the one place to go. Check out nextlevelracing.com after tonight's broadcast for more information, as we'll bring you your first Next Level Racing promotional break of the day. And pit stops on their way here from Fontana. Funnels, it's going to be then Thomas Bressi and Rob Ackley coming through. And just like that, your final pit stops of the night might just be here and now. The money stop to split up the final run with 39 laps remaining. This is the Primate Pest Control 200 into the championship battle. As fierce as this, these could be the most important moments of the season. Coming through this time by on a pit road. Now, DeBarro and Daffin have opted not to go down, and they're going to have to most likely choose to do so this time or the next. Daffin's going to get much slower through the corner. He's going to have to let Matthew Thunders go by, and it looks like for DeBarro, the call is going to be to drop down a pit road. Daffin follows and goes a bit more aggressive in. As they come by, both are going to make the minimum pit speed. Daffin's going to wiggle, but makes it through all the same. Chad Cole going to be making it this time by. He's going to be your new race leader. Brian McFerrin cycles up to second. Gael Brooks then going to be in third, and it looks like from there, position number 4 going to be Brandon Bernhardt, not too far behind. Boomer Logan rounds out the top 5 with 38 laps to go, and the Primate Pest Control 200 coming down to another run on strategy, as Anthony DeBarro is going to be down on pit road, invisible from this camera angle. Check out here though, you'll see Timothy Johnston rolls in as well. Johnston makes it in this time by. Alec Daffin going to be already on the move. His pit stall, not the best in the business, but enough to get him back out there right behind DeBarro all over again. Now Daffin makes huge gains, is only 0.2 of a second off that time through. Nice and smooth for Alec Daffin as your new race leader. Is going to cycle up to be Matthew Thunders by a wide margin right now. However, the difference is now 2 laps in terms of tire wear. So that age on the tire, while getting them back up there with a bigger gap right now, might come back to not be the best decision to make, because these laps, slowly but surely, they will wear out your tires more and more. McFerrin is going to come in this time by. Chad Cole does as well. And now Gael Brooks is your leader, with Brandon Bernhardt in second and Boomer Logan then in third. Your podium as it stands, making up major time, staying on the track. But of course, all will come to pass, and soon we'll see the cycle come back into the favor of the guys like the number 8 and the number 24. It's Bressi and Ackley also chasing down Matthew Thunders. Gael Brooks is in this time by, and so is Boomer Logan. Now, your race leader, the only driver still out on the circuit, it's going to be Brandon Bernhardt, the final man to keep things going now with 36 laps to go. For most drivers have already made their first and second pit stops on the day. Now it could be Bernhardt, the only other driver still waiting to do so, as he finds himself far in front. His big goal right now is to stay on the track, get the advantage of those new tires later, and that might help him out substantially in making up time that he's lost by staying out on the track to this point. He's not on the cycle that is fighting for wins right now, but it still is going to be all about gaining every position possible, as Brandon Bernhardt is going to be a race leader, dropping into pit road this time by. Now Matthew Thunders set to gain big, not to mention Bressi coming through, Rob Ackley as well, but Anthony DeBarro on a much fresher set of tire will also bring Alec Daffin, and Daffin's coming through, and both drivers charging up to the front of the field, looking to make up even more time than before. Thomas Bressi making it through in the Exalta number 24 machine, 75 laps in, charges down makes it up again. Front straightaway is going to be wide open for that number 24. Brandon Bernhardt's going to be down on pit road, and you'll see away from the field, Brandon Bernhardt is down low with his Goodyear Eagles and makes it by quite nicely to get back on the way. Now 15th place, Bernhardt set to gain big with the freshest tires on the track. Matthew Thunhorst advantageous by 1 second for now, but Ackley seeing some pressure now from Anthony DeBarro. Look in the back bumper of Rob Ackley and see how close that number 27's getting, turn after turn, lap after lap. And take a look at how close DeBarro is, already set to make the move. Number 22 machine to see DeBarro goes right up high, and that 27 is there. Goes up top, has the momentum, and has enough of a run to maybe make a charge through 1 and 2. DeBarro's going to lunge in, and just like that, it's going to be side by side going through 1 and 2. DeBarro's not got the advantage just yet, but Rob Ackley's in jeopardy, and just like that, another spot taken by Anthony DeBarro. He's got the new tires, and he's making big moves, makes another that time by, and gets through without any problem. DeBarro is going to be third. Thomas Bressy's going to be second, and also in jeopardy of getting past now as DeBarro sets his sights on the driver of the number 24. That time by about half a second quicker than Bressy, enough to be noteworthy lap after lap. And while Matthew Thunhorst not as slow each and every time around, still a much quicker number 27. DeBarro is definitely the quickest man on the track right now. Alec Daffin is not too far behind either, and you'll see Daffin is making waves and making time at the same rate. So right now, that time by for Daffin was even quicker than for DeBarro, and now he's got the draft of Rob Ackley to use to get right through. This is when draft becomes the most important aspect of the racing, because these guys are much quicker than, say, the guys on older tires like Rob Ackley, and they can use that draft to pull right up to the other drivers and use those opponent cars as sort of ways to immediately slingshot by. The slingshot mechanism in racing used prominently at superspeedway style tracks, also used here today, and you'll see right now as they come through with 32 laps remaining, the number 8 machine of Matthew Thunhorst is set to look for another lap led. He's still got pressure though, as you'll see Bressy and DeBarro getting closer to one another at the same time. 32 laps to go, rushing down the back straightaway. DeBarro sliders, number 27, hoping to slide back up into the top spot. Still 2 places to go to make something happen. The Primate Pest Control 200 might just be another night for DeBarro to come back up there. 20 points under the cut line as it stands. He needs a fantastic race. It is not just a want, it is a necessity. So for DeBarro to get back up into this play in position, he's up there racing for a win. He knows it's a make or break, do or die, and he's had the speed all season to fight for the championship. Now needs to show when it matters the most, he'll keep that speed and continue to improve upon it. Coming through this time by, Matthew Thunhorst has the edge, leads 80 laps in, but DeBarro and Bressy go side by side all over again, and you'll see way down low, DeBarro takes him. Number 24 machine's got no choice but to stick on the back bumper. Another quick pass for DeBarro, and now Bressy's going to try to use that momentum to maybe make it back up there, but nothing so far. DeBarro in second with only 30 laps remaining. He's made up most of the time he needs to already. He's 0.3 of a second back. Well, more than that. It's 1.3 seconds, but he's making up 0.3 each and every time around, which means with the next 10 laps, it is almost a mathematical certainty he'll make it up to Matthew Thunhorst's machine no matter what. DeBarro's got the advantage on speed. Matthew Thunhorst has the advantage on track position, and it's going to be an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object first and second up at the head of the field to finish off a thrilling night of action here in Auto Club. Coming through this time by, it's going to be all about Matthew Thunhorst, but he's still got the pressure of Anthony DeBarro coming up there, and Alec Daffin makes up by Rob Ackley only now to chase at number 24. After winning at Kentucky, not big in terms of getting the win tonight for Daffin. It's, of course, important to run well, but he's already got that checkered flag in his back pocket, and he's ran so well as of recent that another podium is all he'll need to stay up there and fight for the championship another day. Now, another top 3, it would be a huge deal for Daffin, looking for his first consecutive run of back-to-back podiums, and a first and third, no less, is a huge order for any driver. An average finish of second to kick off the clash, the best best of the best. No doubt right now for Daffin. He'd love to have that title all to himself. Matthew Thunderst only leads by now 0.7 of a second. Look who's creeping up in the frame. DeBarro is there, and he's getting even closer each and every time around. Look further back to a few other battles right now. In particular, you're going to see Cody Smith, Tyler Hensley, Chad Amicus all racing with one another, but nothing major right now as these drivers have gotten in for the long haul, understanding what's at stake for them. Just run this night out, get those good laps in, maybe fight for a few other spots, but that's all that can be said and done right now as Kyle Cooper is going to go side by side with Gael Brooks, some championship competitors with a bit more trouble tonight. Lowest running championship eligible driver is Cody Smith in 17th, so not good at all for Smith. He'd love to keep getting a few more spots to finish off the night, but it looks right now it is not all too likely. Matthew Thunderst and Anthony DeBarro, the same old top two, but this time in a different order and with a new set of tricks. The tire wear, the tire strategy is the be-all end-all, and to round out an action-packed night in Fontana, it'll come down whether or not those new tires are enough to make it happen, or instead, if it's going to be track position that rules the day to finish off another thriller here in California. Now, for the Schumacher Racing League, their broadcast is concluded, so they might be sending guys over to watch the Integrity Racing League. If you're joining us from the Schumacher Racing League Cup Series event at Bristol, we'd love to have you watching for the remainder of the night here on Integrity's broadcast. FTN, a doubleheader tonight, two great races, and it's at the price of none. It's a lot of action-packed racing always here in FTN, and our Monday night thrillers are always ones to watch. No matter what you got to do on a Monday night, we hope you're spending it with us, and if you are, there's a great battle to watch right now. Matthew Thunderst and Anthony DeBarro now separate by 1/10 of a second. Look on the back bumper once again here of Matthew Thunderst, as you'll see, quarter panel view shows you he's got nothing else to worry about besides this number 27 machine. Closer and closer it comes, and just like that, down to the quarter panel, going to be DeBarro with a big run, and at the line they'll be just about side by side, and it could be a new man on top by 1 and 2, and that it is. Anthony DeBarro has the advantage, lunges into turns 1 and 2 with ease, and just like that, the number 27 machine, new race leader, makes it by and has that edge. The new tires take over, and the sun no longer going to be visible as the sun sets on Matthew Thunderst's lead. The sun will set on Auto Club Speedway, and DeBarro leads in the final stretch here with 25 laps to go. This is it, and the final run will all come down to this. DeBarro, Matthew Thunderst, Alec Daffin then going to be third, and Thomas Bresci in fourth, with Ackley fifth and Don Stevenson position number 6. Nick Tarbuck going to be 7th right now, the highest up of any championship spoiler. Stevenson, Bresci, Daffin, Thunderst, they're all firm in if this is the way they end their night. DeBarro's got a fighting chance if he can win tonight, and of course right now he's looking good to do so, and he's been the winningest driver in Integrity Ignite competition ever since the final race of the inaugural season in Charlotte. Now he continues to be good at these big tracks and is looking for another chance at the checkered flag all over again. 23 laps to go. This time by, it's 87 laps in. DeBarro's going to be first, Matthew Thunderst second, Alec Daffin then in third, and as they come across the stripe this time by Geico restart zone, they come through at full pace. 23 laps to go. Daffin creeping up as well, and Thunderst might fade back another spot and give way to the number 48, going for another top 2 finish. And coming around this time by what will be 23 laps to go, the highest quality cameras on the iRacing platform, TrackCams22.com, as always used here in FTN for the highest quality track and car packages. Over 100 combinations of content available. Visit TrackCams22.com for more information, as we're going to crank it up this time by with 22 laps to go, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. Let's crank it up from Fontana here, courtesy of Track Cams for Gourmets, live and uninterrupted on FTN. And as 18 laps remain, it's Matthew Thornworth fading back further with Anthony DeBarro up in front with that big advantage, still ever growing. New tires have come into play quite well now for the 27 as he now has the advantage by nearly a full second. Matthew Thornworth continuing to fade back right now with Alec Daffin chasing, and as Daffin comes through this time by, makes it less than a 0.2 of a second gap between second and third positions. This time by, Daffin gaining big once again. That driver, the number 48 machine, has been on rails as of recent, winning at Kentucky, and estimates are showing as long as he holds on, he'll have enough pace for a top 3 finish at the very minimum, if not a runner-up run to the aforementioned Anthony DeBarro. Now, Rob Ackley is going to be the man rounding out the top 5. You'll also see Thomas Brusty, position number 4. Don Stevenson is the man in 6th. Nick Tarbuck is 7th, and Justin Morton is going to be in 8th. Blake Gordon is 9th, and Michael Stroll is then in 10th. Timothy Johnston, position number 11. Alan Dobbs in 12th, and Jacob Fife is going to be 13th, while Gael Brooks in 14th, and Cody Smith 15th. Tyler Hensley 16th, and Chad Mikas then in the 17th spot. Brian McFerrin is going to be 18th man with Chad Colden 19th. Kyle Cooper is 20th, and then Boomer Logan is 21st. That's a look throughout the entirety of your field right now. Only 2 retirees. Casey Shue and Sean Carmody disconnecting manually. The rest of your field has kept things going. No major issues. 1 caution, and it's a safety yellow flag that brought it out. Otherwise, we've been going strong all night long. And Daffin and Thunderous continue to battle, but this time by Alec Daffin's got the advantage. Number 48 machine up there into the 2nd spot. How about that for the driver of the number 48 machine, Daffin, the runner-up man, and looking to make his average finish in the Clash a 1.5, about the best it can possibly get right now for any driver, let alone in the situation Daffin was in to barely point his way in and now become a championship behemoth. It's even more so impressive. He's made it this far and has gone so far already in this Clash, making them already solid enough regular season that much more impressive in the final 2 races, magnifying much more importance. Now you see Nick Tarbuck's going to be there with Justin Morton just behind. Number 9 machine is going to see Michael Stroll and Blake Gordon race each other. Blake Gordon's going to be in that number 13 machine, and Michael Stroll down to the bottom side in the number 38. Side by side, this time by, nearly making some contact, but not much of it, as Michael Stroll stays down low, looking to get inside the single digits. He drops down to the apron. And here at Auto Club, that low line definitely works out if you want to make a pass and want to make it quick. 14 laps to go, nearly getting by that time through. Sun is back out on, of course, the skyline here in Fontana. 85 degree track temperature with an 82 degree air temp, so overall temperatures are still dropping, but that orange glow continues to permeate across Fontana here in the digital space. And with 14 laps left, side-by-side battle between Brian McFerrin and Tyler Hensley also going to be in play. The Under Armour number 7 machine goes right under the number 46 of Hensley, and it looks like there's nothing more that Hensley can do that time by trying to lunge it up top, get more momentum, but the high side really not coming into play much like he'd like it to, and Brian McFerrin gets the run and jumps back out. 13 laps to go. This time by for the man of the number 7 machine as Brian McFerrin makes it around 98 laps in out of 110. The originally scheduled distance of 100. If we hit it, it would be a very close call for DeBarro to get it done, but he's got a lot of room to go here and a lot of laps to still run. So not done in the slightest for him, as it's also Alec Daffin continuing to run away. Not all too much. I mean, Matthew Thunderous has kept Daffin in his sights, and it looks like that battle is not quite concluded just yet. They're close, but not 100% gone. It looks like right now it's going to be Thunderous still trying to chase that 2nd place spot down. If he doesn't quite have it yet, it still could be up in the air until the final lap. 12 laps to go this time by. Closest battle on the racing circuit looks to go way back now to what's going to be Blake Gordon and Michael Stroll, even still going at it. It's that number 13 machine nearly in the wall. Oh, so close. And you'll see right now Michael Stroll trying to make something happen, but can't find that room or that momentum all the same. Now looking up in front, it's a similar battle between Thunderous and Alec Daffin, but the question really becomes whether or not Michael Stroll can do the same thing Matthew Thundorst aims to do, and vice versa. Right now for Thundorst, he has a big tire disadvantage of 2 laps. It might not sound like all too much, but that 2-lap difference, that big 4-mile run where you put the power down early, is really detrimental if you absolutely cannot put things together in the later stages. Going to fade back even more, but Thundorst has really kept this calm, and despite the troubles in fighting for the lead, he's still there looking for second as they come through this time by. It's going to be the number 48 machine still leading Thundorst around as they hit the triple digits this time through lap 100, coming around to make it only 10 laps to go. Anthony DeBarro leads them by, and tell you this much to get it out of the way, your final Next Level Racing promotional break will come here and now, live on FTN. It's Anthony DeBarro, the first man on the board. Alec Daffin then going to be second. Matthew Thundorst is going to be third, with Thomas Bressi fourth, Rob Ackley position number 5, Don Stevenson 6th, and Nick Tarbuck then in 7th. Going to be Justin Morton 8th, Blake Gordon 9th, and Michael Stroll rounding at the top 10. As in 15th right now, it's Cody Smith in number 18 machine, representing Next Level Racing, the official partner of the Integrity Racing League. Since 2009, providing high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Check out nextlevelracing.com for more information after tonight's broadcast, as we'll bring you the final Next Level Racing promotional break of the day. It's only 7 laps left on the campaign here in Auto Club, and it hopes to be a lucky 7 for Anthony DeBarro, chasing his first victory here in the Clash this season. And after coming to this race under by 20 points on the bubble, this could be the make or break night that gives DeBarro a chance to fight not only to make it to the round of 8, but also a chance to fight for the championship overall. DeBarro has come alive tonight, has been the most dominant man, not too far behind the standout so far, and Alec Daffin looking for another consecutive podium finish. And with 7 laps to go, if it goes either way, I'm sure Daffin's going to be very satisfied with his performance all night long. Thomas Bressi slowly but surely creeping into the frame as well. Rob Ackley there, and you can see Don Stevenson in 6th, not too far back either. 6 laps to go, and you'll see every driver coming together, making more time up as it stands. But the Primate Pest Control 200 only now has under 12 miles to go, and we're in the home stretch here in California. You'll see further back still some battles such as Blake Gordon and Michael Stroll. Gordon more so running away this time by. Looking even further back in the picture, Gael Brooks going to be in the mix with Jacob Fife. Fife going to be there in the Chevy Camaro number 36, and the 71 looking at it loose as fast, trying to get himself tightened up for another spot. It's Brooks looking for a top 15 finish and maybe a chance to pass by Fife. All hope is not lost in this championship run. Chad Michaels and Kyle Cooper have faded back into 19th and 20th respectively, which is very bad news for championship competitors, and they're hoping to bring it all back together for the final few laps today. Maybe a chance to gain more spots, but that's wishful thinking. More realistically, they'll pack up their bags and go on to the next race of the schedule and hope for even more to get back into the fight for the title. But for Anthony DeBarro, he does not have to hope much longer. If he can just make it 4 more laps, he'll be right back in the thick of the battle. And ever since his suspension after a North Wilkesboro victory, the season has not gone the way he'd like it to for this 2017. They've been fast, but have not been able to execute any further. And the real question is whether or not he can get it all back under him and go for another race win all over again. But it looks like maybe now there's a chance to get back into the mix and fight for another shot at race victory and for a championship. Next up is going to be Martinsville, and then we really hit the home stretch with Phoenix and Homestead up next. So the round of 8, it is going to be right after this one. This is the elimination round. You got to make sure tonight is absolutely perfect. He's led nearly every lap on the day. The most dominant man all night long. Leads, has the halfway bonus right with him. And DeBarro knows that if anything's going to happen for his championship run, this is it. 3 laps to go. This time by, and it's going to be Anthony DeBarro up in front. Advantageous 108 laps in. Dafton's going to be right there in second even still. And it looks like Matthew Thunors has not yet pulled the trigger and made the move. He's still there and going to make it happen at any second. Just has not found the proper time to execute. He's still there. Back bumper, not quite, but down the backstretch at the same time. You're also going to see Rob Ackley's going to be in the mix now with Thomas Bresci, and Ackley not at all as dominant through the opening round, but he's been solid, and a top 5 finish is all he'll need to firmly put himself back in contention up in front. That opening round, Rob Ackley has a chance to make some big points up, because at this point, the driver, the number 36, Jacob Fife, is contending with way back. Not to mention Cody Smith, way further back. Gael Brooks, Alan Dobbs, Michael Stroll, all struggling today, and those who have struggled know that this could be the make or break night. So long as the results ahead don't play in their favor, we could see some juggernauts out and some underdogs in. Coming through this time by, Anthony DeBarro knows that he's fought as hard as it could get to be back in this point, and now with just over 1 lap remaining, the white flag will fly, and it will be DeBarro leading them down to the white flag. 1 to go here in the Primate Pest Control 200. DeBarro up in front. This is the make-or-break night for him as the battle for second gets that much more intense. Now they'll be fighting. Thunor's going to be there with the lap machine of Alan Rawell. They nearly go side by side. Rawell and Daffin do, but Alec Daffin makes it by and now has one final chance. A lunge if probable. Not quite, but if for number 48 machine's chances at back-to-back wins, that's all he'll have. Through 3 and 4 this time by, DeBarro's got a major advantage as the sun sets here at the Auto Club Speedway. The sun shines again and the championship chance for Anthony DeBarro. The number 27 comes down to the apron and will collect the checkered flag from Fontana. DeBarro wins in dominant fashion for the Primate Pest Control 200. Anthony DeBarro will get it done, winning from Fontana, and the checker flag is his to return to top form. DeBarro had to go through it all. A deficit of points seemed nearly insurmountable, but he pulls together that perfect race to get back up there and fight another day. DeBarro wins over Alec Daffin in second, Matthew Thunors third, and Thomas Bresci then in fourth. Going to be Rob Ackley fifth and Don Stevenson sixth, with Nick Tarbuck seventh, Justin Gordon eighth, and Blake Gordon ninth. Michael Stroll rounds out the top 10. Then from there, Timothy Johnston comes home 11th, and 12th is going to be Alan Dobbs. It's going to be Cody Smith 13th. Gael Brooks is going to be in 14th with Jacob Fife 15th, and Brian McFerrin 16th. Chad Cole 17th with Chad Mikas 18th, and Tyler Hensley the 19th man on the order. And it's going to be Boomer Logan rounding out that top 20. He qualified 21st, makes it 1 spot higher. Kyle Cooper is going to be 21st man, as Brandon Bernhardt is 22nd, Cal Filarski is 23rd, Alan Rawell is 24th, it's Andrew Schaub 25th, Cody Griffin 26th, Jonathan Giervon 27th, Casey Shue 28th, and finally Sean Carmody, the 29th and last driver on the order, as the number 27 gets to burn down the house here in Auto Club. And Anthony DeBarro will park it here in the 19th hole victory lane. The checkered flag is once again, and when it matters most, DeBarro back on top. Victory lane here from the Auto Club Speedway, and a clutch performance all the same. DeBarro knew it's a make or break night. Why not make it a good one and come home on top here in the virtual Auto Club Speedway? How about this one for the 27? Alec Daffin keeps up the Clash success, comes home in the second spot, and Matthew Thunhorse is then in third. And how about we take a look at our top three after tonight's event, get an interview with our race winner, as it is the number 27 of Anthony DeBarro coming home advantageous after a hard-fought night here in Fontana. Dominant it came out to be, and with the deficit so large it was almost insurmountable, you knew tonight perfection was on the mind, and it looks like you gave it your all and then some. Anthony DeBarro, you come home victorious with so much on the line, and how's it feel to get this clutch victory and perhaps keep on going to the championship battle?
It feels really good. Last week I missed. I came down with COVID. I couldn't even get myself out of bed enough to even want to do a start in park. So I lost a lot of points. So I don't know where we even ended up, but I wasn't feeling that good coming into this race, and I don't know. Just dropped the green and we took off. And once at the last run, once I figured out the bottom was where you needed to be for your tires, and pitting 2 laps after those guys, it just took off, and we were able to just take control of the race.
And taking control, the strategy worked out very well on pit road as well. Not only coming out of the caution pit road cycle as the leading driver, in addition, you made it through and went for a little bit of a later stop to get those newer tires. How was it like working with that scenario and making it advantageous for your own winning sake?
I just know from history that pitting a lap or two later on these bigger intermediate tracks usually ends up working out more than not. So I saw those guys bail, and I was going to do 1 lap, and then I said, you know what? I'm like, let's try 2. I already maximized the stage points, and I was like, well, what if I end up third? It doesn't work out. It might work out, and it ended up to work out, and I was very surprised. I just, I didn't really push too hard to get to them. I just wanted a consistent pace and not slide the tires, because that seemed like it was key. You didn't want to get sideways because these tires really didn't like that tonight with the surface.
And tires getting worn out all night long. You handled it the best of anyone else. DeBarro, you win the final race of the round of 16. Now the final round of the season comes down to what is next. And first off, 150 laps at Martinsville next on the schedule. What's it going to take to keep the success going and maybe keep on fighting for a title at the paperclip?
Well, I hope we've had some good races, so I think we could put on a good show at Martinsville. But what I've known from league races at Martinsville, it sometimes doesn't end well, more times than not. So it's going to be about keeping your nose clean, qualifying well, and nailing that strategy to where you are done pitting, and you're able to have the freshest tires and have the track position and play that game. So sometimes you get green flag racing there, it gets real fun, but it's a very challenging track, and it's very hard to get in those corners and not run over the guy in front of you.
And Fontana, always a challenge made for the best in the business. Tonight, strategy and long green flag racing went the way of Anthony DeBarro, coming home with the checkered flag when it mattered the most, winning here in the Primate Pest Control 200. Next up on the tour, the final round of the campaign. Is there anything else you'd like to leave off with before we head on to our championship chase?
Well, I'd just like to shout out to you guys up at FTN and the admins for doing this whole deal and taking their time out of their personal lives to all the work to do behind the scenes and the graphics and all that. And it's just a fun league to run around, and these guys are class acts.
There we have it, keeping it all rolling well. DeBarro, race winner here for the Auto Club Speedway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
As you bring Anthony DeBarro back to his racing voice chat, Alec Daffins also kept the success and second place with another podium. Your average finish so far in the Clash, a 1.5, and you've been the best so far in the opening rounds of this championship chase, and maybe, just maybe, a championship contender to look out for. In Fontana, you need to get your experience in, knowing what's on stake in a few weeks' time. It's next Saturday, as a matter of fact, coming Saturday, not this one. But tonight, focus on the Monday night campaign, and you've been as good as it gets. Second place finish. How do you feel?
It's definitely bittersweet, David. Honestly, kind of scraped my qualifying lap and I had to come from the back. Wasn't for that. It would have been. It's kind of tough to say. Anthony was fast all night, and it would have been tough to beat him. But definitely would have had a better chance of the win. But at the same time, I'm in 26th to second. Can't argue with that. And much as I would like to have these runs next round when it really matters, I mean, still we got the momentum going and got the confidence and having fun out there. So if we can just keep this momentum rolling here, we'll be just fine going forward.
And big momentum to kick off the clash, as you mentioned. Now, top two finish. You played strategy as well as anyone could get it, short for our leader in Anthony Bardo, and you did almost the exact same thing the whole race. Now, not a lot of green flag pit stops. You only had one chance for it, of course, but an overall very clean race with only one caution. So how was it like dealing with strategy? As minimal as it was, it still meant an awful lot.
Yeah, with the timing of that caution, made it pretty straightforward. Because if the race went green all the way, it was going to be kind of tough. It's like, do you pit early, try to short pit for the stage points, and kind of may hurt your overall finish, or run long and kind of hurt your stage points, but at the same time, then kind of make it more likely to get a better finish in the race. It's kind of that's how it was going to play out. But obviously, with that caution, I can run like 25 or so, mandatory pit there, and then just run the tank dry on the next run. It's a one stop race after the race starts. So kind of made it a little straightforward there. Thankfully, we had a little buffer, so we were able to pit a little later than some guys. Like I know Thunhorse and like Ackley and Brescia, they all pit a couple laps earlier. I was able to, well, I guess they jumped me, but then I had fresher tires to get back around them. Which the first half of that last green flag run, I managed my tires pretty good. Then once I got up behind Matthew, kind of burnt my stuff up, got around, and then everybody started catching me after that. Like Matthew was staying with me for a while, and then Thomas and Rob started catching me. I was like, it's gonna be tough to hold a podium here, but then we started pulling Matthew at the end there, and we were able to kind of manage the gap to Thomas and Rob, and we're able to hold on. So in terms of strategy, it's straightforward. Just tire management was key, but thankfully we did just well enough to hold on to P2.
And managing the strategy to hold on for another podium. Now, it's going to be an unpredictable track up next, to say the least, in Martinsville. And that's always a challenge. The pay-per-click is never easy. So what's going to take to make the strategy click once again and maybe go for another podium in a row?
Yeah, Martinsville is one of my best tracks. If we can qualify well, manage the strategy, run a good race, I think we'll definitely have another shot to win. But obviously, like it's easy to mess up a qualifying lap there, and more importantly, strategy plays a big deal because there's, as you know, it's usually a wreck fest at that place. Track position means a lot. But yeah, I mean, if he can just pit at the right times and try to keep it up front, because if we get put in the back, it's hard to pass, and I'm not the best at passing people, so it's definitely going to be a tough night for sure if that happens. But if he could just keep it up front and just pit at the right times, I think we'll be all right.
And hoping to keep up there when the time is right. 2 consecutive podiums to open up the clash. Alec Daffin, second place tonight. Anything else you'd like to add after this event?
Yeah, so thank you for doing the broadcast. Thank all the integrity admins for putting on the league, putting on the series. Thank Cameron Pierce for running Shaw Racing products. Team Chevy, Twitch viewers at Alec Daffin 48. And also thank you to Jacob Elkins once again for spotting me tonight. He's done a great job the last 2 weeks, and I know he'll continue to do the same thing for the next 3 weeks. So keep it going.
And performance staying as high as it can possibly be for Alec Daffin. 2 straight podium finishes as the number 48 comes home here, runner-up in the Primate Pest Control 200. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Now, with Alec Daffin on the move, one more driver in your podium tonight, the number 8 machine of Matthew Thunhorse, keeping the good times rolling for Thunhorse as well. And another strong finish firmly inside the podium yet again. A 3rd place run, and you held on very well with those old tires, made that strategy work out better than anyone else. 3rd in the day. How do you feel after a hard-fought night in Fontana?
I feel like this one's missed opportunities, David. It's just, I thought they were going to run off into the sunset with the tires, so I let Alec go, and that bit me in the butt about 5 laps later when I had the speed to get around him. It's just the dirty air was pretty nightmarish, and it's kind of hate that I didn't get a good run off on the tires to start that, and that just allowed him to get there before the tires plateaued, because they didn't pull away as much as I thought. But looking at the whole grand scheme of things, making it comfortably on to the round of 8 here and not having any problems, it's a good feeling. So, can't complain too much. It's another one of those should have been maybes on the wins, but it's just DeBarro had to fight like crazy to go get all those points. So it's one of those risk versus rewards that you really, and I, ironically, me and him last season with Chicagoland, kind of the risk versus reward. And here I was just, let's cruise, as long as we don't completely mess this up, we're good. So, can't complain about a third place. Probably should have been a second, and but it is what it is. It's one of those. It's easy to look back on things and second guess yourself and stuff, but it's one of those. Put in the notebook and go forward with it. So.
And as you mentioned, of course, when it comes down to the night, you didn't have to worry all too much about points, cruising, as you said, and a third place finish, not bad in the slightest. But now the focus is on that final round, the round of 8. It's going to be all about Martinsville first, then Phoenix and Homestead, particularly in the paperclip, coming immediately up next Monday. What's it going to take to hold on and maybe go for another successful run? And we'll take you to about the most unpredictable short track on iRacing.
Honestly, who knows what next week's going to be? It's just, it's one of those. I feel good at short tracks. I'll be good there, but who knows? It's Martinsville. It's shenanigans. It's kind of like in real life. Are you going to get the Xfinity race shenanigans, or are you going to kind of get the long run kind of Martinsville that way? So, hopefully there's not a whole lot of shenanigans. I really don't want to see like another Pocono of last season where all of a sudden it's, hey, guys made it, and it's basically down to 4 because half of them are in the garage already. So. We'll just have to see. I mean, if I had to sit there and I'd say Martinsville and Phoenix are my strong suits, but the problem is, it's like you look at a lot of people that probably made the top 8 as well. They're not going to be too bad there themselves. So it's basically like, who can get the most out of their car, or who gets the strategy right, who's just gets the right break. So I feel like this is going to be a hard fought one, and hopefully it's just not one of those like last season where someone kind of breaks it out and then it's unless they give it back that everybody gets in. But it's definitely one of those that I feel like outside of Homestead where I still feel like I do all right, but these first 2 rounds I feel comfortable with this. But it's just going to see. It's one of those I feel like maybe I have a shot at the championship, but at the same time too, you could just as easily finish 8th with this. So.
And the fight is not done yet for this number 18, Matthew Thunhorse, third place night in the championship 8 bound once again. With this night behind you and now the final races just before us. Any final thoughts before we head on to our championship round here in the Ignite Series?
Yeah, just, it's been a little while since I've been able to interview, but, so just want to say thanks to you, Dave, and everybody at Fireball Talks for broadcasting, and all the sponsors, especially, and I think it was Primate Pest Control, or Pest Control was the sponsor. So thanks for them for doing that. And, just, it was a pretty good race. I mean, I think we had 1 caution, a lot of good racing with a lot of folks. So, and just thanks for everybody tuning in week in and week out. And next 3 weeks, I hope your Monday nights are busy or catch the video on demand afterwards, because these next 3 rounds, I think, are going to be a barn burner. So everything's picking up. It's going to get exciting. Don't want to miss out on it,
At the biggest 3 weeks of the season just ahead, Matthew Thunhorse locked into the championship fun, racing for a title to wrap off 2023. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, David.
And with Matthew Thunhorse on the move, your third place driver wraps off our podium ceremony. It's Matthew Thunhorse third, Alec Daffin second, and Anthony DeBarro, your winning driver here after a thrilling night in Fontana, California. Great to have you all watching live again in FTN. Another thrilling performance here, Auto Club. Only 1 caution, very clean racing all throughout the night. That's what you love to see. The Ignite Series once again delivers. We'll be back Wednesday night with the FORL Cup Series as they bring it back for the SP Designs 180 as their championship continues their championship chase in the middle of a fierce playoff run. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing all of tonight's action tonight. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation, and if you did, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching once again. This has been the Integrity Ignite Series in the Primate Pest Control 200, and hope y'all tune in once again when we're live on FTN. We thank y'all for your immense support, and we hope you have a great night.